So I already mentioned it in one of the previous slides here. So when I talked about short reads, so it's better to go for short reads and paired end sequencing than to go for long reads and single end sequencing. So what does that mean, paired end and single end? So this is explained here. So the entire explanation that I did on how Illumina sequencing worked was this. We used one sequencing primer that bound to one adapter. So in the example that I gave, we used the sequencing primer that binds to the blue adapter. And then we do sequencing from that. So that means that for all the fragments in our library, we will only sequence one end. Sometimes it will be the 5' end, sometimes it will be the 3' end, but for every fragment, it's just one single end. So it's called single end sequencing. You only sequence one end of your fragment. You can also do this. You can do a paired end sequencing. What does that mean? It means that you're going to do what I have shown you. So you're going to start with single end sequencing. And after your first sequencing is finished, you're going to use your flow cell again. And you're going to do a second sequencing, but now with a sequencing primer that will bind to the red adapter. And this will generate reads that come from the other end of your fragments. As you can see, typically these reads do not overlap. You have one end of your fragment, you have the other end of your fragment, and then in the middle you still have a gap that you haven't sequenced. That's no problem. So in single end sequencing, you will generate one file with reads per sample. In paired end sequencing, you will generate two files with reads per sample. So you go through your first sequencing run using the primer that binds to the blue adapter, and that run will generate your first file with reads. Then you take your flow cell, you put it back in the sequencer, and you do a second run of sequencing, this time using the primer that binds to the red adapter. After that run, you will get a second file with reads. So with paired end sequencing, you always get two files with reads per sample.